when they want it bad enough to kill you. You and my wife.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another of my recommended by you reviews. Today's film was recommended by Matthew Cooley, so many thanks Matthew for recommending this 1997 film, The Edge, a film that is directed by Lee Tamahori and it stars Anthony Hopkins, Alec Baldwin, Elle Macpherson, Harold Perrineau and Bart the Bear. Now, the film focuses on Anthony Hopkins' character Charles Morse and Alec Baldwin's character Robert Greene. Now, essentially, the Anthony Hopkins character Charles is a billionaire. He's a guy that everybody wants something from. He's a little bit cynical, but he's also a highly intelligent man that can remember pretty much any fact that he is exposed to. He just eats up facts and reads books constantly and retains all the information. A very, very intelligent man. He is married to Elle Macpherson's character, Mickey, who is a model. And she's kind of going on like a photo shoot with Alec Baldwin, who's the photographer, famous photographer. So he's shooting the pictures, things like that. And the Anthony Hopkins character, Charles, has gone with them. And they've gone out into the wilderness to kind of this remote cabin. Whilst there, they decide to kind of head off in an airplane. The Charles and Robert character and Stephen, who is the assistant, to kind of go and collect something. The plane essentially crashes. They end up out in the complete middle of nowhere, in the wilderness, completely exposed to the elements. And they have to figure out, number one, how to survive, and number two, how to get back home. However, there is a spanner in the works, as well as there is a man-eating bear that has got them in their sights and is tracking them with every intention of munching them up, I suppose. Right, what are my thoughts on The Edge? Well, I was interested in doing this as a review when it was suggested by Matthew, because this is a film that I used to watch quite a lot back in the 90s and early noughties. I don't know if I ever had it on DVD or VHS, I can't remember. But it's a film I quite enjoyed back in the day, and I haven't seen this for a long, long time. So it really reminded me, number one, about the film, and number two, to kind of rewatch it and see how it stands up today. And for the most part, this is certainly an enjoyable film. Now, the 90s, I suppose you could argue most decades, but I think the 90s in particular was there were creature features all over the place. You had this film, The Edge, you've got The Relic, your Deep Blue Sea, Lake Placid, Ghost in the Darkness, Tremors. You can go on and on and on. Loads of creature features. They were everywhere in the 90s. And this one kind of leaned more into the more kind of realistic approach, like Ghost in the Darkness and Deep Blue Sea and Lake Placid, grounded creatures that actually exist. And in this one, it's the bear, the man-eating bear. Now, whenever you say Bart the Bear, now Bart the Bear is actually, he's made a lot of Hollywood films. I think this might have been his last one. I think he died in around 2001, something like that, Bart the Bear. But it just completely takes away from the ferocity of this bear when you call it Bart the Bear. But there is definitely some really effective scenes in this film of real tension and terror when the bear's involved. Now, I think the problem with this film, I do think this is an entertaining film. It's well shot, there's some beautiful cinematography, and the performances are all of a high standard. Of course they are. You've got Anthony Hopkins here, who apparently, I believe, was suffering from a slip disc or something like this when he made this film, and he kind of used that pain in his performance, sort of thing. And Alec Baldwin, two big stars at the time, and Elle Macpherson was obviously a well-known model. So you've got on screen here, some top names at the time. So what you do get is a mostly satisfying film, but I think you also get an unbalanced film at the same time, because it's kind of at odds with itself. Is it a survival of the elements film, or is it like a creature feature? And it never really settles on either. Now, like I say, when the bear scenes are in the film, there are some really quite effective scenes. There's a scene where it attacks the Harold Perrineau character, that's quite frightening and very brutal. And then you get a couple of other scenes with it kind of stalking the Charles and Robert characters, you know, through the woods, and they've got to kind of figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to survive and stop this thing. And then once it's kind of out of the picture, it kind of loses a lot of its interest, I think, this film. And I think the reason why it loses interest, because you've got nothing left, really, that feels like a threat. But there should be, because there is a question in this film as to whether Anthony Hopkins' wife in this film, the Ellen Macpherson character, is having an affair with the photographer. And I think they really misjudge the tension between these two characters, Charles and Robert, the photographer, and the billionaire. He suspects that this affair is going on. He suspects that the Robert character is going to try and kill him. He suspects this, that, and the other, but it's never really confirmed one way or the other until a certain point in the film, near the end. And for me, as soon as the bear's out of the picture in this film, the film loses for me so much of its interest. So there's the stuff leading up to the bear, the setup of the characters and stuff is not overly interesting. When they first get into the wilderness and they start, you know, trying to escape from this bear, that's really the highlight of the film. And then once the bear, like I said, the bear's out of the picture, it completely, again, I think the interest of this film kind of falls off a cliff a little bit for me. And I think they really could have done a much better job of building up, like, this relationship and this tension between these two characters. And I don't necessarily think they do. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One of them is I don't necessarily think they had great chemistry as actors. And I just don't think they were smart in how they built up the tension. I think they could have kept that bubbling away. You know, will he, won't he? Will they help each other? Won't they help each other? Who's going to try and kill this person? What they're going to do? How they're going to try and outthink each other? And I think they could have really worked on that. You know, this Alec Baldwin character trying to outthink this genius of a man, and you never get any of that. Not really, anyway. So it is a well-made film. It's very, very watchable. There are some really tense and frightening scenes, but I think it's also a little bit unbalanced at the same time. So I do think it could have been a little bit better, but at the same time, it is certainly engaging and watchable too. But as a creature feature, it doesn't feel like wholly like what you would describe as a creature feature. It's like that. Yeah, there's a bear in this film that is a real threat up to a certain point, and then beyond that, no, not really. But it is a film that I enjoyed. It is definitely a film I would look to add to my collection on Blu-ray. It's certainly worth picking up in that sense. And if you've never seen it, it's certainly a curious film to check out to add to your kind of creature feature collection, if you like, with some good performances and a well-made film. So thank you very much for the recommendation. Now, the next one I'm going to be looking to review is a film called Hell or High Water. It's a film I've never seen. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm going to look forward to checking that one out, and I will give a shout out to the person that requested that when I do that review. So any requests, guys, any for me to do these recommended by you reviews, fire them in the comments. Let me know what they are. I can't guarantee I will review all of them. Some of the requests I have seen, or I might have already reviewed them on the channel, and some of them I just can't fit them all in. So I'm going to try and get around to as many as I can, and I am enjoying doing this series. So keep the requests coming, and I will of course be back on the channel with loads more reviews and content anyway. So thank you very much.